G'day guys, welcome to my RX Wines feature video. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about NRL Round 11 predictions for 2021 guys. Let's get started. So starting off with this first game of this match, we see the Cowboys going up against the Knights. Now, I heard that there's no Kalen Ponga in that match, which that means Tex Hoy will be coming into that fullback squad. Tex Hoy is a really good player. He hasn't been good that often. I just have to think that the Knights aren't really cooperative that well much anymore. They're not really, balancing it out. They're not really talented, and they're not really, cooperative enough. They don't really have that energy and that support, but that means still no so there's no Kalen Ponga and there's no Bradman Best. I heard that was from that late change I heard from yesterday. There's no Bradman Best though. That means Kurt Mann will be coming on to that number 6 but the number 4 jersey into that squad. That means Blake Green will be coming back into that squad also to replace to replace that player anyway. So what I can say about this game, I just don't think that in that match it will be a very secluded game, but the Cowboys are a really good team. I've heard that they've been good so far, but they haven't really strategized on how the way they want to play their game of football. I just don't think in this game that it will be a very strategizing game, and to my point, Valentine Holmes is a really good player, so is Scott Drinkwater. I just don't think this game will be a very ordinary game, but it will be hard because the Cowboys haven't really been on fire lately. I know that they've really been balancing it out. They've been really good in a couple of weeks, the last couple of weeks, and they've been really good at the moment. But in this stage, I'm going to go with the Cowboys in this one, and I just think in this one, the Cowboys, I reckon they'll get the benefit of the doubt, and I reckon they'll win against the Newcastle Knights. But in that case, for my scoreline, that prediction, I'm going to go with 24 points to 20 in that game, and I reckon the Cowboys will win by 4 points. The next game of that match, we see the Warriors going up against the West Tigers. Now, in that game, the Warriors have been really good so far, but not really in that type of form, because RTS, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, will be his last year of playing rugby league for the New Zealand Warriors. He will be going to the Auckland Blues. I got told a little birdie of mine, there has been a little bit of rumour about that anyway. The Warriors haven't been really that good of a team that much in a couple of weeks, but I know that they have been struggling a little bit, but they've been on a really good form and putting on a really good show in that type of team. I do think in this game, I reckon it will be a very top game of football, but I reckon in this match it will be a very tight game of that match anyway. I just think since the West Tigers haven't been really improving lately, they have been falling down apart and they're just really struggling, and they are. And I hate to think if the West Tigers win that game, there will be a really bad upset in that game, because Dane Laurie, since I've got him in my super coach, I reckon he will improve and really put some performance on against the Warriors. In that game. And since that, I reckon Joseph Leilua isn't really good enough of a player. But since David Norfoluma is still on that side, I just reckon in that game it will be a very tight turnaround in that match. So in that game, I'm going to go with the Warriors in this one. And since my Kiwi heritage side, I reckon in this game the Warriors will get the benefit of the doubt, and they will put some pressure and will come out firing against the West Tigers in that match anyway. So I'm going to go with the Warriors, 32 points to 20 in that game. The next game of that match, we see the Sharks going up against the Dragons. Now, in that game, here's another thought. There's no Matt Duffy. He's injured and on concussion, if I believe so. Do comment down below. I'm not too sure if he's injured, what type of injury he has, because that's confusing, and I'm not too sure. I can't really remember what he had before. But in that game, the Sharks, I reckon in that match, it's going to be pretty tight in that game. Since that Chad Townsend is really good of a player, but since there's no Sean Johnson, which that means Matt Moylan will come into that number 6 jersey, replacing him for the Sharks squad. He is a really good player in that team and really balanced it out in that type of team. But credit to him, he's a really good player in that match anyway. But still, I reckon in that game, this game's going to be real tight. And I just hate to think, like, if the Sharks win that game, I just reckon it won't be a high-scoring game because no Matt Duffy, which that means Cody Ramsey will come into that number 1 jersey. He is a winger. That means he was like either number 2 or number 5. But since that, no Matt Duffy, Cody Ramsey will be coming into that number 1 jersey for that fullback squad in that team. So my prediction of that game, I'm going to go with the Dragons in this one, and I just think in that match, I reckon it will be a tight match, and it really will be a tight game of football. I just think these two sides will balance it out for each other and battle it out anyway. I just don't see this game being really good in that match, and I don't think it will be entertaining since there's no spark in that speed. I just think it will be a very tight game. So I'm going to go with the Dragons in this one, and I'm going to go with 20 points 18 for that scoreline anyway. The next game of that match, we see the Titans going up against the Bulldogs. Now, in that match, the Bulldogs haven't been really good so far. And in my often head of mine, the Bulldogs aren't really good of a team at all. And there's no Kyle Flanagan, which that means I heard that he's might be going to the Sharks. That is a little bit of a spoiler for you guys. I do apologise about that, but I heard a little bit of rumour that Kyle Flanagan might be going back to the Sharks. That's not the point, though. If the Bulldogs might get him, I reckon he'll still be in that side for this season. And if he does, I don't think he will play any more games. And for that side, for the Bulldogs, they aren't really good of a side since they are falling on the wooden spoon, 16th of the ladder. I just don't think the Bulldogs aren't really good of a team. They just haven't been winning games at all, and neither of the clubs really are smashing them anyway. But since the Titans are a really good team, I just don't think that they are a really balanced out team anyway. I just don't think they are really good of a team in that match. Since the Titans are a really good team, they've got AJ Brimson, they've got Jamal Fogarty, no Ash Taylor, which that means Tanner Boyd will be coming into that number 6 jersey for the Titans. That side, I reckon it will be a very tough side, but the Titans are a really good team. They are a balanced out, solid team. They are an average team, and I just don't think the Bulldogs will win that game anyway. I reckon it'll be a very high-scoring game, and from my point of view, I'm going to go with the Titans in this one, and I'm going to go with 32 points to 18 in that game, and I reckon the Bulldogs will get 3 tries, but won't really seal the deal, but I reckon the Titans will really get the points into that team anyway. The next game of that match, we see the Roosters going up against the Broncos. Now, in that game, the Broncos are another team that haven't been really cooperative at the moment. They haven't been solid. They haven't been on the point, and they're just not really good of a team. And they've dropped some players, and that's really good because Anthony Milford isn't really good of a player. He just doesn't really do anything, and he does nothing for the team. So I am putting stuff down because every time I see Anthony Milford play, he just doesn't put on the hard work and doesn't really put in the hard work for his team. I just don't think the Broncos are a really good team anyway, because since they are really bad for the squad at the moment, Albert Kelly will be replacing Anthony Milford in the number 6 jersey for the Broncos. And Albert Kelly, he has been really good for the Titans in a couple of years that he has been playing for the Titans, and I just don't think the Broncos won't really struggle if Albert Kelly's going to get some points for that game anyway. But still, in my opinion about that side, the Broncos are a really good of a team, but they just don't really spark that good quality of a team. But at the moment, though, for the Roosters, since there's no Brett Morris, Luke Keary, Drew Hutchinson, those three quality players, still nothing in that team. But they are still really good of a team, because at the moment, since Sam Walker is a really good player in that number 7 jersey for the Roosters, he is a really good player and really helps out the players for his club and his squad anyway. But in that match, I'm going to go with the Roosters in this one, and I reckon the Roosters will really spark up this game, and I reckon from my point of view for that scoreline, I'm going to go with 24 points to 12 in that game, and I reckon this game will be a very average football anyway. The next game of that match, we see the Raiders going up against the Melbourne Storm. Now, this game's going to be real tough because the Storm are a really good team, and at the moment, the Raiders, they've been really shocking so far, but still haven't got that spark at the moment with no George Williams in that side. I think he played last week. I'm not too sure if he did. I think he did, yeah, in that Magic round last week. Which that means since I think he will be playing in that team, I reckon he will really get that benefit of the doubt. The Storm, they are a really solid team, and every single time that side is really good of a team. I just don't think the Storm will really struggle in that game. Neither of these teams, these two sides are good quality teams. But at the moment though, since the Storm are a really balanced out team, I just don't think the Storm will struggle in that game. But they still have Nico Hines, which, in my point of view, he's a really good player for their squad. Still, Jerome Hughes in that team, which he really does good work for the Melbourne Storm. Credit to him, he's a really good player. You obviously got Josh Adokar. He's a really balanced out player. He's a solid speedster. Every single time he gets the ball, he always runs with it and just basically gets the ball and gets the job done for his team. But credit to him, he's a really good player. So on that side, this game's going to be real tough and real hard. I'm going to go with the Storm in this one, and I just think in this game, the Storm will be a really tough team and really put the points on the Raiders, and the Raiders will struggle in that game anyway. So in that match, I'm going to go with the Melbourne Storm in this one, and I'm going to go with 22 points to 10 in that game, and I reckon that game will be a really good side for the Storm to win against the Raiders. The next game of that match, we see the Rabbitohs going up against the Panthers. Now, in that game, the Rabbitohs are a really good team at the moment. They've got full squad. They've got full strength players now back from injury, which that means Josh Mansour, Adam Reynolds, Latrell Mitchell. I'm not sure about Campbell Graham, but they've obviously got Cameron Murray. I'm not too sure about that. All I know is Latrell Mitchell is basically back for that side. You obviously got Josh Mansour, as I mentioned. They are a really good team if neither of these teams basically really spark up. Because without Latrell Mitchell, without Cameron Murray, without Campbell Graham, there's no talent in that side for the Rabbitohs, and yeah, without them, there's no talent in that team. But for the Panthers though, since they are winning 10 wins in a row, they will get 11 wins in that game. And I have to say, Nathan Cleary is a solid player, which I credit to him. He's an absolute really top finisher, and every single time he kicks the conversion, he never misses anyway, and he just is really solid of a player, and I just think that he's a really legend of his pride for his team. And since that, I just reckon the Panthers will really aim up in their defence, and they have good defence and also good attack. But in that game, I just don't think the Rabbitohs will win in that match. Since the Panthers playing against this good quality side, I just don't think the Rabbitohs will win in that game. So I'm going to go with the Panthers in this one, and I reckon they will win in that match. And I just think in this game, the Panthers will win in that game. So I'm going to go with 24 points to 18 in that game, and I reckon the Panthers will win and they get the job done. And last but certainly not least, we see the Eels going up against the Manly Sea Eagles. Now, in this game, I heard that the Manly Sea Eagles are a really good little team. Since they've really been balancing it out, they are a really top team in that game. No, not in that game, in that team. But I just think since the Manly Sea Eagles have good quality players, such as Tom Trbojevic, he is a really good player, bounces to the outfield, good quality team. He's an absolute really good finisher. But I just think since he'll bounce it out, I reckon he's been an absolute really good of a player. He's been solid, been good quality player for his team, and I just reckon he'll get the balance of their players in that team, anyway. But since for that, the Eels are a really good of a team also too, since they are sitting second on the ladder. I just reckon in this team, the Eels will win in that match, and I'll be down there to vlog that game, so stay tuned for that. I will be with Entertain House in that stadium, so stay tuned for that, and I will be blogging that game anyway. Also too, I will be blogging the Warriors versus West Tigers in that game, so go check that out. Stay tuned for that. I will be doing that, so stay tuned anyway. But in that match for the Eels, since there's no Dylan Brown, since Jacob Arthur will be still in the number 6 jersey, I reckon he'll really get the job done in that game. I reckon he'll have a really good game. Clint Gutherson, he'll have a good match, since Miko Sivo also too will have a good game. I reckon Miko Sivo, he's a really good player. He's been scoring a lot of tries, making try assists, tackle breaks and tackle busts. Absolute top finisher in that player anyway. So in that game, I'm going to go with the Eagles in this one. I'm going to say in that match, I'm going to go with 42 points to 16, and I reckon it'll be a high scoring game, and I reckon the Manly Sea Eagles will struggle in that game anyway. Thanks so much for watching my video, guys. Stay tuned for more. We're doing a couple of videos coming to you guys soon. Also, I'll be doing more videos coming to you guys soon, so stay tuned for more. Plus, leave a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel and for this video, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Till then, take care, guys. Stay safe and have a good one. Plus, let's get up to 300 subscribers. We're sitting on 209 anyway, so let's get up to that, and I'll see you guys next time. Also, too, I will be blogging Warriors versus West Tigers and Eels versus Manly Sea Eagles, so stay tuned for that, and I will be doing that very, very soon. So stay tuned for that and keep an eye out for my blogging videos anyway.